I'm going to really quickly show you the process of making a very simple drawing. I'm going to resize my work to 50 by 50, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to do a person, maybe blinking, giving a little smile, and saying hi. And so that's going to be pretty simple. There's not going to be a lot of movement involved in that, but this is just to get started. Okay, so first thing, I'm picking my background color. And one good thing is that if you don't like a color that you've already picked, then it's very easy to go back and change it. So I'm just going to go with this background color for now. And my first step is going to be to do the person's hair. And I'm going to use my vertical pen tool. Not everybody's hair is symmetrical, but I think that it's a good start. And so when I do that, when I go out to one side, it makes my drawing exactly the same on the other side. That's pretty good. And I'm going to use my paint bucket tool to cover up that space. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick skin color. So for this one, because I want to make the person's hair part a certain way on one side, I'm not going to use my vertical pen tool yet. Now that I've got that part done, I'm going to do this vertical again. And then paint bucket. I'm going to use that same color to make their neck. I might want to adjust where my person's head is on my page. I feel like it's a little bit high, so I'm just moving it down just a little bit. And when I do that, you can see this transparent part up here, so I'm gonna take the background color right up here and use the paint bucket tool. Next to the shirt, and again, I'm gonna use the vertical one. So now I'm gonna do the face. I want to think about where light might be coming from. So let's say the light's coming from this side, which means this side would be a little bit more shaded. This is my first frame, and now I can get started on my second frame. There's multiple ways you can start on your second frame, depending on what your animation is. You can press this Add New Frame button. What that does, though, is it gives you a whole new transparent layer. If you press this button here that says Onion Skin, you can see just a little bit of what you drew before. So this is nice, this is helpful for some things, but for the type of drawing that I'm doing, it's not that helpful. So I'm gonna unclick that. I'm gonna delete this, and instead, I'm gonna press this duplicate frame button. So that way, I've got two frames that look the exact same. And now I can just make little adjustments to this one, because when we do different frames in our GIF, we want the differences to be subtle. So there's three things that I want to do with this character. I want to make her blink, I want to make her smile, and I want her to say hello. I could do all of those things at the same time, but I feel like it'd be more natural looking to have her blink and then do those other things. So I'm going to focus on that first. And my first step to making her blink is just going to make her eyes a little bit smaller. And the only thing I have to do for that is just take my pen tool and get rid of those two spots. And automatically her eye went from that to that. The next step, I'm going to duplicate that frame again. And now I'm going to get rid of this top layer here. So I'm going to get rid of her eyelashes, get rid of those, and I'm going to switch this out for all black. Her eyes are closed. And so they went from that to that. Now I want her to open her eyes up again. So instead of redrawing her eyes to slightly open, I'm just going to take this second frame here and duplicate it again and move it below the one where her eyes are closed. That way, when we move it, it looks like she's opening her eyes up again. So the same thing I'm going to do with the first one, so that I have another frame of her with her eyes fully opened. Let's see, right here we can see our preview. I'm going to make the preview just a little bit slower, and I'm going to show you. So that's what it looks like right now. And I'd say that's pretty good. It looks pretty good, but I want to see if I can make some adjustments. So maybe instead of making just one dot under her eyes, I could make 3. Now let's see how that looks. Alright, so that automatically looks better, so I'm going to keep that. And the next thing I want to do is I want her to open up her mouth to get ready to start speaking. So I'm going to duplicate this frame so that there's 2 of that, because I don't want her to be opening her eyes or closing her eyes again. That's already done. So now I'm going to give her the beginnings of a smile. So then I'm going to duplicate that frame again, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Okay, she's going from not smiling to just slowly smiling. And then the next frame, she's opening her mouth. And when I did this, her mouth got a little bit bigger. In reality, when we do that, when we open our mouths, our jaws kind of go down a little bit too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this character's jaw go down. So I'm adding this extra layer of her face. And when I do that, I have to fix the shadowing in here. So there we go. Got her with her mouth open. Her face got a little bit wider. So next step, I want a speech bubble to come up, and all it's going to really say is hi. I'm going to press duplicate again. In this first frame, all I'm going to do is draw the speech bubble. I'm not going to have any words in the speech bubble at all. Okay, now I am going to duplicate the frame again. And on this one, I'm just going to say hi in there. Alright, I want the speech bubble to disappear the same exact way, so I'm going to duplicate that frame before the word came up. I want this to loop perfectly back to the first one, which is her not smiling at all. So I'm going to use the frames from before, so we're just moving backwards now. I'm going to take this frame of when she's got her mouth open, duplicate it, put it under here. Alright, next one. One more, just with her doing a side, like a half smile. And automatically there's something I know I want to change, but first I want to show you the preview. This hi only showed up for the briefest moment. I'm going to duplicate the hi so that it shows up longer. I'm going to make it so that there's 3 whole frames that say hi. If I look at my preview again, that frame just lasts a little longer. And I could do the same thing with her so that she takes a little bit more time to blink, so that the blink looks a little bit quicker. So then the last thing I'm going to do, there's all this space up here. I'm just going to crop that. I have to select all of the stuff that I want, and I'm going to have, I think this is a good amount of space above her head. So now that I have selected it, I'm going to press crop. And there we go. And I could even do the same thing on the other side. So you notice that there's 1, 2, 3 pixels from the top of her head to that side. If I look at the furthest point from her hair, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 4 pixels. So I think I'm just going to get rid of that last pixel on either side. And I know that it's symmetrical on this side too, so I don't need to count it. And there we go. It's cropped. Last thing I want to do is export it. So exporting it is saving it to your computer as a GIF. There's all sorts of different ways you can do it. The way that I recommend is you make sure it's clicking loop repeatedly, and you're going to press download, this top one. Before you do that, it lets you pick the size of your animation. So this right here is not our normal size. This is 14 times the size of our work, 14.78 times the size of our work. You can see that right down here. Because the real size of our work is very, very small. I'm going to download that and show you exactly how big that is. open it up with Safari. That is the size, that is the true size of it. That is very, very small. And I don't want mine to be saved like that. I want mine to be saved in a way that I can see it good. So I think I'm gonna do 500 by 479. That's a little over 10 times the size. It's a little bit smaller than this, but I think that'll look good. So I'm gonna press download. And it downloads straight to your... And there we go. That's a much better size. You know what? I noticed something when we did that. When I cropped it, I wasn't thinking about how this looks either. I was just thinking about her hair. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of this one side of the speech bubble because I don't want it to be right up against the edge like that. I think it doesn't look super good. And so when you export, sometimes you notice little things that you want to change about your work because you didn't realize it looked like that or it was a mistake, anything like that. Okay, so now it should be good. And it looks great. Now, one other thing you might have noticed when I was opening it up, some of the ways you can open a GIF show it in kind of a weird way. So if I were to open it just the normal way, it shows up as all these pictures. Those are just the frames. So when you open up your work on your computer, it might show up as a bunch of different images like that. So just see if there's something that opens it where it moves.